you think we could get sued if we just started like labeling or tagging like iCarly into our stuff?
We'd get in trouble. I think we should get caught. But
This guy.
Then again, they aren't gonna sue.
Are you in the comments?
Huh? Who? Me? No. Oh my! Wow! We were just talking. We were just saying. Marco was just saying like, yeah, we don't know any breaking news that happened. So I wonder what things Roger's gonna say right off the bat.
And this guy comes in at 9:59, 10 a.m. We hadn't even gone live yet. I guess Facebook and everything else kind of says, hey, we're supposed to be on air. We're not on air yet.
He was ready.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with let's go bottom to the top.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go because I think we'll have
Okay.
more to say at what's at the top of what he's commented.
All right.
Thoughts on the Fernando Tatis deal? The Padres are scooping up money out of nowhere. It's kind of ridiculous to think of how you were just talking about it when the notification that came out. You had asked me, didn't they just like give one guy $200 million even after giving Eric Hosmer like $100 and something million? And I was like, yeah, how much did they give Fernando? And you said was it 300? Did we say three?
Yeah, they gave. Actually, I got.
I'm gonna pull up their payroll right now.
They gave $340 million for 14 years.
That's just crazy.
And I'm looking at the biggest right now.
So right now they're paying Manny Machado $32 million, Will Myers $22 million, Eric Hosmer $21 million. Don't forget they got Blake Snell, almost World Series savior last year for the Tampa Bay Rays. They got him for $11 million.
They're the only team with 2 players in the top 7 of, I think, highest contracts ever.
That's just crazy. And now they got Fernando Tatis. I'm going to say it all wrong. Tatis.
Tatis? I don't know. What's
Toddy,
crazy,
he's a hottie toddy.
What's crazy is Pujols, when he signed that long ago, that was the biggest contract. And we look at the 13, I'm looking right now, the 13 biggest MLB contracts in history. There's no Albert Pujols. And he used to be number 1.
Gone. I remember when that.
I guess he wasn't number 1 because Rodriguez is here. But he was, I remember that was a big thing. There was like
when
a top one,
Pujols,
wasn't it?
Yep, and they got Josh Hamilton that year as well. Do you know what's kind of funny? I feel like that if we're going to, right now, transactionals, not looking at just career stats and all that,
Mm-hmm.
Fernando, I think his transactional history is kind of crazy, astounding.
Yeah, what is it?
Kind of like if we're talking, I'll relate to the stock market a little bit. Fernando Tatis was traded from the White Sox to the Padres for James Shields. We remember who James Shields was. He went to the White Sox. It's just kind of astounding to think that's where his line was at the beginning of his career. Hey, we're going to trade you for James. We're going to trade you for James Shields.
How many times do we say he's young? We got to start taking shots every time we say so-and-so's younger than us.
22 years old. I think everyone that Raj named is not younger than us, except Carson Wentz. But it's astounding to think that he's now he was once traded for James Shields, who had an awful stint with the White Sox. And now here he is at 22 years old, 2 years in the league, 14 years, $340 million. And you know what? He was part of that whole let the kids play kind of monster.
Because he does some like he likes doing the bat flip, and what did he play? He played a song when he got in trouble. I forgot what the pop song was, but he played it kind of like in your face. Cry Me a River. I think he played something like that or something.
We went up to the plate and all that. No, he's deservingly so after what he's shown these last few years. In fact, his first year he had a better batting average than his second year. But the guy will get you over 200 plate appearances. And like we said, he's 22 years old. Was third in Rookie of the Year voting in 2019. Finished fourth in MVP last year. Just gotta love it, man. Just gotta love it. You love seeing the young kids eat.
Mm-hmm.
Mbappe got to eat.
Yeah.
Osaka's gonna be eating after this Australian Open.
And we'll talk about that stuff. But Mrs. Martin gave us a good morning. So
she did.
Good morning, Mrs. Martin.
Good morning, Mrs. Martin. And Yuka Vizel 123 wants to know if we want to become famous and buy followers.
Anyways,
what do we look like? Silicon Valley?
Not yet.
All right, your moms love the post, which means She's in the air, which means we have to say happy half birthday to Armand. Happy half birthday.
Oh, my.
Good morning, Mr. Martin.
Good morning, Mr. Martin.
Wish Armand a happy half birthday.
I'm the only person who recognizes half birthdays. No one
I just love that
recognizes
people are texting you, wishing you a happy birthday. I know it's family and close ones, but still, it's still fun. Oh, and Arian's now saying it soon now in here.
Oh, he's in. Oh,
Wish your brother happy half birthday, Arian.
Anyways, should we move on to Mbappe Haaland?
Yeah, since we're talking about young kids eating.
Raj had
There's
mentioned
two right
to me-
there.
Raj had Raj had sorry, Nico got me off guard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Renee. It's okay. So Raj had mentioned to me about Mbappe Haaland. He made a football reference.
Mhm.
If Mbappe is Mahomes, right? Mbappe won the World Cup at 20.
Raj
Right?
making this.
Raj mentioned this. If you want to say Mbappe is Mahomes, and I think he was saying that because he's won some things, he's been playing really well, but he hasn't won everything yet. Granted, he is 22, 21.
Yeah.
And then
Young.
if he's Mahomes, then it's Haaland, Lamar Jackson. Haaland is the other guy who's, I think, under whatever the stat is, under 21, and to have like 18 goals, 17 goals in the Champions League, the biggest tournament of European club soccer.
Yeah.
Maybe, no, I won't even say maybe. In my opinion, I think in the world's eyes, the biggest club tournament in the world, bigger than the Club World Cup, because this has the most talent. So we have two 21, 22-year-olds younger than us who are balling. Mbappe, of course, people found out about him actually in the World Cup.
And he got his contract, right? He got paid.
Yeah, he's on PSG, but Haaland, the Norwegian, who kind of looks like a mixture of, what's his name, Rocky IV and the Terminator.
I gotta look at this guy.
Because people make Terminator jokes about Terminator memes about him.
And I bring up the money part too, because Mbappe's gotten paid, but has Haaland gotten his contract?
He went to Dortmund. But the thing about Haaland, and Aryan comes in here. Aryan has his opinions about the Ravens, but I don't tell people. But
or like a Trevor Lawrence.
But Haaland has 18 goals in 14 Champions League games. 19 goals, I think. That means he scored a goal in every game, and then in a little less than half the games, he said, let me score another goal. And you're right, Nico. I said most people found out about Mbappe in the World Cup. But remember, he had that year, just like you said.
Nico, you're not most people.
Yeah, you're not.
You're special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
When Monaco made it to the semifinals of the Champions League. Thanks, Lily.
What was that? Thanks. He is wearing a cool jersey. I was gonna ask, when he got done with his steal, I was gonna ask him what his jersey's wearing, but continue.
I agree too, Nico. Dortmund got an absolute steal. I don't know what you want me to continue on, but
they bought him at only $20 million for until 2024.
He could have gone to the big. He could have gone maybe to a Bayern Munich or maybe a Barcelona. But I remember Liverpool; those big English teams were looking at teams that you would say are bigger than Borussia Dortmund. But he decided to go to Dortmund. Sahan just comes in here after, I don't know, when the first thing he says is, whose handwriting is that on the board? I don't know, Sahan. People getting me off track.
No, it's fine. Look at that. It's your half birthday. They're showing up for your half birthday, man.
Anyways, Haaland and Mbappe. I know, but with Rogers, I don't really think I'm saying anything. I think you're just smiling and I'm just saying words. But
you're making sense. I'm taking the time to read.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is this: Mbappe and Haaland are young stars in that sport, kind of like Raj, what you said about Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Thank you, Sahan. And yes, Nico, it is a Zenit jersey. It's actually in Russian. There's a Persian player on Zenit named Sardar Azmoun. I think that's how you say his name. He was supposed to be the Iranian Messi, but he didn't score in the World Cup. But last year he led the Russian league in goals.
That's okay, because you guys have representation in
Porto. Porto,
yes.
The first guy who scored in the Porto game against Juventus was Persian. Mehdi Taremi. I said it in English. Taremi. But he's a good forward too. Yeah, there we go. Aryan's in, but
He's got the name.
you gotta
R.I.P.
support
Harambe.
these Iranian. Oh, didn't score. Yeah, I know. Well, Iran doesn't like scoring in the World Cup for some reason. And no, I don't. I know you're trying to be offensive, Nico, but I'm not going to take offense.
Nico, that's a very beautiful profile picture you had there. Wow, that's a very cute
And if you
picture.
want to talk about World Cup, this is the thing. Iran, for some reason, loves to play down to their competition. When they played Nigeria, they just kept giving the ball to them.
Mm-hmm.
2 World Cups ago, tied 0-0. When they played Morocco, they just kept giving the ball to them, tied 0-0 until the last second. It's an own goal, corner kick, Iran wins.
Right.
But when they played teams like Argentina and when they played teams like Spain or Portugal in the last 2 World Cups, they only got scored a combined of 3 by all 3. And they saved a Ronaldo penalty kick.
I remember seeing your reaction after you saw the group that they got drawn into, and it was one of those, hey, we're just happy to be here.
All I said was, I just don't want to be in that region where I think Spain and Portugal had a chance to be together because of how it was. That's all I said.
And then what happened?
I was in the library watching it. I was really sad. And people trying to tell me that wasn't the group of death. I mean, maybe it wasn't, but you had Portugal and Spain who almost got knocked out by Iran. Like, that's the thing. Sean wants to.
Good question.
Where's Holland going to go after Dortmund? I'm not sure.
It sounds like he didn't care about money when he signed with Dortmund, because of how much they got him for. I don't know.
My thing is, I think he went to Dortmund because where was he at? He was at the Austrian Red Bull team, right? He could have jumped all the way to the biggest clubs in the world. Instead, I think he took a middle route, right? Where Dortmund is a top team, and they're turning out to be, maybe in our era, our generation, the top growth team. Like Ajax was 20 years ago. I know recently they kind of did the same thing, but like kind of those teams. Now, you're right, Nico. He might go to Manchester United. I think Holland did smart. He goes Dortmund, and then he'll go to the clubs that everyone in the world knows, whether it's a Man U, maybe a Man City, a Liverpool, Arsenal, those. Maybe he wants to go to a Barcelona, Real Madrid. I don't know.
He has the talent and the skills. Does Norway? How about this? Okay.
And Sean's right. His dad did play for Leeds, and I wonder. Well, he already played for Norway, so he can't do that. But I wonder if England was trying to get him on their national team because he's Norwegian English because of his dad.
I like that. No, I was going to ask you. We've seen a Gareth Bale on Wales. Now I see a Holland on Norway. I don't know much about Norwegian soccer as far as the country itself, but is that a team that could possibly make some noise with maybe not a Croatia? Croatia had some really good players other than Luka around.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
Is that a team that we could see in the World Cup?
I think that's a great comparison, Norway to Wales, because Wales also had some other players who were around. They had one guy on Arsenal, a midfielder, right? Mm-hmm. But of course, Bale's the big guy, and then they had other guys because they're kind of English.
Right,
you don't want to tell that to anyone who's from Wales that they're kind of English. But you look, my dad would always say, "Poor Bale, he was just born on the wrong side of the river. If he was born on the other side, he could have been for England."
That's pretty funny.
Whether it's a river or not, but I think that Norway also they got 1 or 2 other young guys. One guy who's on Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and I don't know a lot, so I can't really answer your question.
No, we take the audience comments.
I wonder if, and that's his name. Sahan knows. Martin Odegaard. But see, Sahan says he's a stud. Let's say he's right for once, and Holland is a stud. That means Norway has 2 really young studs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is something. If you got Wales here and you have what you said, Croatia here, maybe there's somewhere in the middle. And there's Danny, our football analyst.
I like this. I like this question because Jamie Tart is a guy that we were talked about also, at the end of season 1. He's referring to the Ted Lasso show on Apple TV. I know without saying much that gives away too much of the show, but Jamie Tart is like your Sammy Watkins, I think, right now. Maybe not in the locker room role. But for some reason, the team rallies around him when it seems like fans are down on him. They want to re-sign him for some reason. Even though
they do. I guess in a way you can compare them. Again, Jamie Tart was their star.
Yeah,
that star.
Okay.
Alone.
All right.
But
Maybe not
no,
Jamie Tarr. How about Mitchell Schwartz?
I kind of see what you mean, right? A player who other people.
I didn't want to
we're
give away
really
too much
looking
from the
at-
show.
Yeah, and I get that. And no, Renee, Richmond, AFC Richmond isn't a real team, but of course, everything else, Premier League, the teams they're playing,
Are they the
real.
Spiders? Is that their mascot? I can't
No,
remember.
it's the Richmond
Lions?
Hounds.
Richmond Hounds. Okay.
They're Richmond something. AFC Richmond.
They're Richmond.
They're called. It's called Richmond. I forgot what.
There you go.
And I think they said who they replaced was Brighton Hove Albion. But the fun thing about Brighton is Brighton has a Persian on their team too.
You just know.
Yeah, I know every Persian. Bumble is in the news.
What are they
Well-
in the news for?
She's the first.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
self-made
dating app.
Female, yeah. The founder is
Oh,
the
the
first
founder of Bumble,
self-made female to take her company public, and she's 31. Well, one of the co-founders, part of her group, and she was from Tinder, and this other person was from Tinder, are Persian too.
Whitney-
Persians helped find the app.
Whitney Wolfhard, founder. I don't know if I got the middle name right, but Whitney Hurd.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but yeah, she's huge. I mean, we
Yeah.
have knowledge about the app, but she's obviously now took it public.
So just going off the top story headlines on this is kind of interesting. So Yahoo India News headline said that Bumble's 31-year-old CEO Whitney Wolf Hurd becomes a rare female billionaire. Business Insider,
Wow.
female leadership teams made Bumble's CEO a billionaire. Boom, there we go. So that's what you were talking about, the leadership team.
Yeah.
That you,
And I'm saying part of the people who made it, I don't know where they're at now. They were Persian too. So Persians helped make both Tinder and Bumble. Probably
And then
friends with her. I don't know.
BBC News, Bumble, female-founded dating app, tops $13 billion in market debut. That is incredible.
And if we
Jeez.
want to put on our investing hats in the dating app world, I mean, Bumble's making more runs than, someone like a Tinder, who she was from.
Mhm.
She went to a different team. She said, okay, Cleveland, you're not going to give me the things I want. I'm going to go to Miami. I'm going to go to South Beach, and I'm going to make an actual championship team.
Right.
And now Bumble's on the Clippers jerseys. We don't see Tinder sponsoring anything except TikTok. And Bumble, that's big. Clippers, that's huge. And now Bumble's public. You have things like Hinge kind of coming up. I don't know what happened to Match.com and all those websites, but no one ever sponsored a sports jersey.
Bumble has more than just the dating on it, too. It has the business connections that you can do. You can switch into the business mode, or you can switch into BFF mode. And that's how Armand and I met on Bumble through the best friend mode.
Are you kidding?
We both swiped right on each other.
Oh, my. No. Okay.
I'm looking. I'm still in MLB. I meant to click on Chiefs Boat Track because I saw Arian's question.
Yeah, we didn't even answer
that's
all
a very-
of those questions.
That's fine. No, because how did we even get into? Oh, Persians. That's how that happened.
Sorry. I don't know. That's my fault.
No,
Arian, we're going to have someone talk about
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Jordan Foote from Sports Illustrated is going to
We
come.
might as well tell who's got on coming on 11
And,
o'clock.
at 11 o'clock, he has something on Twitter where he's been doing 100 draft prospects in 100 days, right?
So I'll go ahead and share the screen really quick for everyone.
And
where is he at?
he'll be
There
coming
we go.
talking to us about mock drafts. If you want to make a mock draft before now 11, send it to us. Maybe we can talk about it. But we'll be talking.
Yeah, you can
Chiefs and
actually
some football.
you can go into. We're on Twitter. What's the handle? You changed it yesterday. Coffee's on.
At It's Coffee's On. Capital ICNO.
All right, it's Coffee's on. You'll see our picture with the. You'll see our logo in the
Mhm.
profile picture, but we have a post that we posted yesterday. You can
Mhm.
comment your mock drafts underneath it if you go and do one right now, wherever you do mock drafts at. Your
Mhm.
mock draft needs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you go screenshot it, send it in the comments, put in the replies. We'll talk about it. Have your mock draft questions ready for Jordan, because Jordan back last month, in fact, a month from today, so we can't wait to ask him about that. It's been a month since Jordan started his project, but he's over. He's a Chiefs writer over at Sports Illustrated. That's the part that covers the Chiefs. He's also an NBA columnist, but we'll talk strictly Chiefs with him today and just NFL.
Mhm.
We'll talk about his podcast as well that he does over there at SI. But so last month in January, he's dropped the first of his first of his many posts that will be coming in the later days. I believe today we get number 32, but he's given out his 100 Chiefs draft prospects in 100 days. So we're on day 32 today. We're going to talk with him about some of the players that he has on his list. So you can go and follow him on Twitter at Footnoted. It's very punny,
Footnoted. Ooh.
Yes, journalism handle there. But you can go give him a follow. Go check out who he has talked about so far, and he gives their pros and cons of them as a draft, as a draft scout. He puts his draft scout on, and then he puts on his Chiefs fan hat and says why this player would fit best for the Chiefs and where he could see the Chiefs drafting them at in this next year's draft. Combine hasn't happened yet, which I know is something that's important when you're talking draft, but we're going to have him on today at 11 o'clock talking some NFL draft. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Should be fun. We'll get energized by then. Just kidding. We're already energized. Sahan.
Oh, hang on. Nico wants to know what coffee he's drinking this morning. What coffee are you drinking?
I got some hazelnut Gloria Jank, some hazelnut, and I did my
Gloria what?
What is her name? Jank? What did it say?
Jean? Gloria Jean?
No.
Gloria Jank.
And I did a little mixture of cinnamon, cardamom, and some honey and milk.
Cardamom.
Cardamom, yeah.
Cardamom.
Mm-hmm.
Cardamom.
I think it's cardamom. I used to think it was cardamom.
What's in it? Is it like cinnamon sugar?
No, cardamom is a spice.
Ah, you get your coffee spicy.
No. It's like turmeric, like saffron, like all these things are spices. You go to the grocery store, spices aren't all spicy.
Yeah. You're right.
Like the black tea has.
I just wonder what it tastes like.
Has cardamom in it. You know what it tastes like.
I'm having some Under the Tuscan Sun breakfast blend. Boom. My coffee. Just that.
I got to answer this quick.
no
Sahan, you should know this. Which quarterback's going first? That's Trevor Lawrence. Well, the real question is who's going to go after him. And that's something I kind of want to ask Jordan, see if he has a quick answer about that.
Yeah, some of the surprise things. Yeah, whatever draft questions that you guys have, we'll be taking them.
Yeah, see, Sahan knows. T-Man Sahan.
It's not spicy. It really just has a kick.
And
can you put it on other things besides your coffee? Like, what would you put it on besides your coffee?
See, I don't think most people put it on coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, we know. Sam, I know what you've been saying. I've been waiting. It's been in my head.
I was asleep during that game last night.
No, I don't think he's talking about a game. Most underrated wide receiver prospect.
Well, we'll say we'll there we go, Arian. We'll put that in the one for later. We'll put that one in for Jordan. We'll get that one ready for Jordan.
Jalen
Darden. Though.
But the thing about cardamom is like you've had it in this black tea, in the tea you've drank.
Yeah, the one over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or
that's where I recommend.
When we're back home.
Yep, Sahan pointed out.
And it's mostly in tea. I don't think most people put in coffee. I just found that out on the internet. Because I wanted to spice up my coffee.
I'm going to have to throw some into my coffee.
We got William Shakespeare over here writing in his notebook.
I'm just getting ready for the day. I'm making sure people's questions get answered. We are here for the people.
Shahan, what's your favorite type of tea?
Arian is included into that person. He is a person.
My favorite tea, I do like a simple black tea or like an English breakfast tea, which is kind of the same thing.
Some English breakfast tea. I picked up some tea yesterday. I got some green tea. Got some green tea.
Everyone's big in green tea, but I think I would try it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
We had Sam's. What was the thing
matcha.
Sam liked? Matcha.
Matcha.
It was all right. Yeah.
Matcha.
Again, the Persian tea's more kind of like a black tea, so that's why
I put some. We got some of the sugar sticks that you throw into it. A little some there. Nico's like asking me, "Get another referee."
Well, your mom's Iranian tea. That one. Oh, you're right. The Iranian tea is actually called chai, and in India they call tea chai, which I once saw a joke when you hear something called chai tea. That's basically saying tea.
TT.
Yeah, so chai means tea. But I feel like chai is a little more flavorful than a black tea, you know?
I don't know what happened in the Portland game yesterday.
No, it's not the Portland game. So the All-Star game. And I would love to talk All-Star game. Then the little I know. I don't know too much. But
Tell me.
no, so
I see what he's saying.
here's the fact of the matter. Dame didn't get wasn't an All-Star.
Yeah.
All-Star starter.
Dang.
Steph and Luka got it ahead of him in the West.
You know what, I think Jordan's a Trailblazers fan too. So because I saw him
Really?
tweet about it today. So, but yeah, go on.
So,
go on, though.
and Dame was even answering questions yesterday, and some people were asking like, "Oh, you care about being the best point guard or all that?" And he said very Dame type tweets like, "I don't really care." And I actually was thinking about this in the shower, Sam, because you were messaging me right before I got in the shower. I'm sorry, Nico. I feel like, first of all, Damian Lillard, if he played in the East, he'd be in the finals by now. Second of all, his mentality is like the elite athletes we see. Aryan's just trying to talk poop. I don't know what he's doing. So,
is he in the bathroom again? at
yeah,
school?
you're probably in the bathroom again.
Yeah.
High school.
Yeah. Actually, he's right. Thank you, Arian. I was looking at that earlier. Don't put your mic on your nipple. Put it on your collar.
It's not on my nipple. Well, it kind of is, I guess. On my
Did you know your earlobe straight down is your nipple?
My earlobe?
Yeah, touch your earlobe and
And-
just go straight
this?
down. No, I meant like down. You're going like down your whole neck.
Down.
I mean like just straight down.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird that we did that on camera.
No, that's
But
fine.
anyways, this is what I want to say about Dame. I'm sorry, I can't speak well. He's got a mentality of he doesn't care what anyone says, and he's got one of those "I'll prove it to you" type stuff. But I don't think he really cares to prove it to anyone. We've seen what he's done in the playoffs, and his other teams with the. I mean, he has good help, right? You got people like McCollum, obviously, who's injured right now. You got and Sam, you know this. You know much better than any of us. You got people like Nurkic, who, if he can be healthy, he can be very, very good. And of course, what's his face? My Turkish friend. Why did I forget his name?
Where does he play for?
He plays on Portland right now. You know him. He's from Turkey, was on Kentucky, but couldn't play, was the 3rd overall pick. See how this is how you know I know things. I'm just bad at names.
I was looking at the voting results.
What's his name? Ennis Cantor, right?
There we go.
So he's got a lot of people around him, but he hasn't had like the teams like LeBron has had or like a team like the Nets, and still he's done really well. That's what I'll say about Dame. About the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game is our best real-life example, right? The NBA All-Star game is our best real-life example of high school cliques. I've felt, especially in the last few years, yeah, NBA All-Star game last year was awesome. Of course, there were different variables of why it was awesome, a lot of emotion and different rule changes, but it was really cool. And I actually enjoyed watching an All-Star game for once.
So it's just the starters that got announced?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you look, there's a big difference between the fan vote and the media vote. And that's what I want to get at.
Okay.
NBA All-Star game is just a popularity contest. I don't know if this will help my argument. LeBron James, obviously, the king. He will always be a starter for his whole career. As long as he's healthy, he's going to start in every All-Star game, whether he deserves to or not, whether he's the best of his position or he's 5th. People like Luka, who SportsCenter loves, right? Although I feel like they should also love Dame. People like Luka, who everyone was talking about getting this MVP, although 2 years ago I did tweet that he would win the MVP in 2022, right? So although some of our friends and a lot of people and I kind of got brainwashed in thinking it's his time 2021, no, we're seeing that he kind of struggled at first. But the media's loving Luka. They're loving Luka as much as they love someone like a Zion or they love someone like a Mahomes on a different sport. Basically, I hope I'm making sense, and maybe I'm just mumbling. And I want to see if anyone else. I'll stop talking once you interrupt me or people say things.
No, I'm listening. No, you're not rambling at all.
It's
You're
a popularity. It's a popularity contest, and I don't think we should spend a lot of time getting really angry about it. I know, Sam, you probably thought that Lillard deserved it over Luka, and we got to look at the stats or whatever you want to look at. You said a tweet this morning that I think you were joking about people saying Luka has better stats. I do want to know what would you base I do want to know what would you base Damian Lillard's why would he get in the All-Star game? And I mean I think it'd be good. It'd be good to hear. Like, what's the reason? If it's not stats, although some stats Dame is better, right? That graphic we saw today. Like, why did he deserve? And the third thing I'm going to say is this.
I didn't see that stat, actually.
And the third thing I'm going to say, yeah. Well, the third thing I will say is if the NBA All-Star Game didn't do conferences this year, then Damian Lillard would be starting. Because there's much more All-Star worthy players on the West than there are on the East, okay? Okay, win shares and RPM. So we can pull up the graphic because you're looking at some advanced stats graphics, correct? So I'm just going to play devil's advocate for you, right? You say win shares and RPM. I say box plus minus. Luka's better. I say EPM, right? Which is the margin, right? The difference in margin.
Yes.
Luka's better. I say the LeBron metric. Whatever that is, they're basically saying they're going to base it on the best player. There's a metric on the best player.
Boom.
Luka's better. Or what about RAPM, which is robust algorithm using player tracking, where Luka's much better. Or Raptor, which is a stat from 538, right? Basically, all these stats, and we actually talked about this, Sam, or I mentioned to you, right? We talked about these are just different variations of different stats. It started with win share, started with PER, and it went on. Some people don't like win share. Some people don't like PER because some people don't even like plus minus because it's just based on. Imagine if I was on the floor with LeBron, I was on the floor with AD, I was on the floor with Dame, and I was on the floor with Luka. Those four guys and me, I'll probably have a plus minus of 30 because everyone else around me is playing really.
Probably have like a plus 100, right?
I'd probably have a plus 100. But what if I score 2 points? Because, of course, I'd score one basket. But what if I only scored 2 points, right? Is that reflective of me? That's kind of like Thabo Cephalosha, right? Who had a great plus minus when he was on the Thunder. But he was also on the Thunder with Harden, Durant, and Westbrook. 3 future MVPs.
He's not on any Excel tabs.
Yeah, I'm not on any
on
Excel
StreamYard.
tabs.
I can convene for that.
Yeah,
He's looking at himself.
I have Twitter pulled up. I have biggest MLB contracts pulled up, and I got a Gmail. Sam, I wasn't saying anything to offend you. I wasn't even trying to start anything.
No, it's Armand's right. It's a fan voting thing because I got the numbers pulled up here. Dame should have been over Luka based off the media voting and the player voting because he ranked second in the Western Conference backcourt, of course, behind Curry. But at the end of the day, Luka led him in fan voting, unfortunately, and I think I could just be repeating things, but I've just been listening and just kind of reading, catching up on the news that happened today.
I know, but look again. What did I say? The All-Star Game is a popularity contest, so if they cared about the players' voices, they wouldn't be having an All-Star Game. But they don't, right? So sure, the player votes are what, 25%? I forgot how they're weighting it. Isn't it like 50% fan? And if it's
50% fan, 25% in media, 25% players.
And if it's I agree. I love debating, Sam. And that's what I'm saying. I'm giving a big Armand answer, you know? I don't know who is more worthy between a Luka and a Dame. Because I thought, before the season, if I had a magical Armand list of 7 or 8 players who could be an MVP discussion this year, and I guess that's a big list, so that's nothing to pat myself on the back. You just know I like options. I was wondering when Lillard's time is going to come because I don't think he's finished top 3 in voting, and he's so great. And every great player, whether it's a Carmelo or it's a Chris Paul, players who haven't won MVPs, they've finished top 3 once. Jermaine O'Neal finished top 3 once. A lot of players have finished top 3 in Lillard's time. He's deserved to get that, but I don't think he cares. And I wonder if this is going to fuel his anger. They're at the 4 seed right now. I think they'll definitely win at least their first playoff series. And I think that second series, depending on who they play, I don't know how many games it's going to go, and I'm looking way ahead. But depending on how whoever they play, I think that's going to be a very competitive series, regardless of games.
They would be playing the Suns.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I had it pulled up with the standings. Man, I'm just kidding. Look at that. What are you reading about over there?
All-Star Game. Well, I just want to get this All-Star Game started. I want to get this.
I don't know why. I don't know what the tiebreaker is necessarily. If there is a, I don't know if there is a tiebreaker, but there really wasn't a tie because Dame led the. I guess
And
they're
he
looking at number of
led the
votes.
player voting by a lot.
Weighted score. They were tied at a weighted score. That's what it looks like.
And again, we look at them. Dame might be, a top 4 guard, top 3 guard on anything in the league. Top 4 maybe, but there's
The formula to determine a player's score is algebra. It's fan rank times 2 plus the player's rank plus the media rank, but then they divided that number by 4.
So they're doubling the fan rank.
Yeah.
So again,
That's why that could be what happened because who led the fan rank between the two?
And what have I been saying? They put emphasis. It's a popularity contest. That's all it is. I don't think the All-Star game is a big thing.
They shouldn't be playing it this year.
NBA called it again, they should. If they cared about the players, right? If they cared about the player vote, or if they cared about the player's voice, then they probably wouldn't have had an All-Star game. So
could Turner
so
Sports
that's
behind this? Possibly, man. Because what have we talked about? What's one of our big things? One of the pillars in life. Money's always
there.
Money's always part of it. And that's what the NBA is. It's big.
They probably think there's more because imagine this, Sam. Imagine if the NBA Alex Caruso was top 10.
You know what? We'll give you another example. How about the MLB 2015 ban when they were doing fan voting? 8 of the 9 starters for the AL were Royals because Royals fans were wanting to see their team play in the All-Star game. It was ridiculous. What was his name? Ours was the 2014 team because all the fans were so hyped because for the first time in forever, the Royals were like going to the play. They were going to be a playoff team. They were fighting for a playoff start. They had an exciting first half of the season. And what happens? The second baseman whose name I can't even think of that was good at times but cold at others. Why can I not think of his name? Who was the second baseman for the Royals in 2014?
Was it Infante?
Yes, Omar Infante. Omar Infante was leading the fan voting at second base. Yeah, surprised Bobo didn't make an appearance. It's just one of those things that happens.
That's why I say we shouldn't be spending our energy on all. I was never big on the NBA All-Star game. It's the biggest of the popularity votes.
You win, what do you get? You win, what do you get?
Do you even get anything anymore? You used to get home court advantage in the NBA Finals, and they changed that.
They did? I didn't even.
I thought they changed that. They changed it in baseball. Or maybe they didn't.
Baseball.
I thought they changed it in baseball. See? You see what I mean, Samuel? I like when he has Samuel on the social media. I was trying to follow him on Coffee's On yesterday.
You see what I'm saying, Samuel?
And I couldn't find it on Sam. I searched Sam. I'm like, why are they showing up? By the way, it's hard to find people on Twitter on a different account. That's why I was using our account to follow people. Yeah, but the recent people I followed aren't people I'm going to follow. And I think you're right. I think Dame's been getting disrespected in a lot of facets in the NBA, and that's gonna fuel him. What are they? 16, 17, and 10 right now. They're in that 4 seed. Of course, they're a little behind the top 3, but there's a lot of ifs we can say. Like if these 4 months without AD, right? If LeBron shows that he does need AD, I'm not saying he will, but if he shows that he does need him, Dame can catch up and kind of get in the top 4 teams in the West consideration instead of a top 3. You know what I mean? And he's a big man who his game's also in here. Well, in my favorite post, the comment he said when him and Russell Westbrook, and I really like Russell Westbrook, they played, and media tried to say, and he said something about media tries to say when dogs fight dogs, when it's just dogs being dogs, right? I can't say it as good as Mr. Dame Dollar, but when dogs are being dogs, they mistake competitiveness with just hatred. No, these are just 2 guys like Luka and Dame who just love playing the sport, like Dame and Westbrook. I don't even know why I said that, but I like Dame. I think he's still in Portland, and I think that's one thing we can respect about a player. He's a good player, and I think he has a record for 3 buzzer beaters, 3 eliminating buzzer beaters in the NBA playoffs. Yeah, I saw something. He's averaging 30 or 40 points in the last 6 games.
No, you're right. He holds his ground up there, and he's not only, you can't say that about a lot of NBA superstars holding their ground in one place.
Again, I'd love to see him get his I don't know, get his worth because he's only been to one. He's only been to one conference championship game.
Yeah.
Like someone like another one of your favorite players, like a Carmelo, who was he on Portland when they made that conference championship game? If he was, then he's only made two. Someone like a Chris Paul who's only made one or two. Right? These are probably great players, right? Who just couldn't, not even saying that couldn't get to the championship game. Couldn't get to the finals. I'm saying they couldn't even do that because of whatever reasons, because of where the NBA is at right now. You need a big three to win because that's where it's at. But I don't know. That's an argument maybe for another day or maybe for another cup of coffee. I don't know. Oops.
We can start transitioning over into some NFL talk. Well, we got Jordan will be coming on in about 15 minutes to join us.
NFL
Talk
talk.
some Chiefs. Remember to drop your mock draft questions, Chiefs draft questions, any Chiefs related, Chiefs free agency, Chiefs. That's about it. Chiefs draft.
Doesn't even
Chiefs
have
free
to be
agency.
Chiefs. If you didn't
the
like,
NFL.
if you didn't like our mock draft, like my friend Ryan Bipley, he was talking trash on both of us. So I told him, you just make yours then. Send us yours. And I got his.
Yep.
And his first player, I think, is the same as my first player. So I don't know what his deal is. But he disagreed with me on D-line. He thinks we need a D-line. And I emphasize the I emphasize the secondary.
Emphasize the secondary.
He doesn't think, they don't think Sorensen's going to leave.
Yeah, he could. Maybe he won't if he signs for the right price.
Agree to disagree, right?
I wouldn't be. I would like for him to not come back because I'm kind of good on the Sorensen train for right now. I'm trying to find the news that broke yesterday with Carson Wentz. You getting is Bibbs texting you? Is he like, hey man?
No. Lily was telling me sorry she can't watch. Coffee's on.
That's fine.
But yeah, Wentz got traded. So I'm confused about this. I was in class when it came out. He got traded for second or third, and they're saying the second can become a first. I didn't think they gave conditional picks in the first round, and that's not. I don't think. I never thought they gave a conditional pick in the first round, but they're saying this second pick can become a first pick.
How so?
I don't know. I didn't read up on the stuff. I thought it was funny that they wanted 2 first-round picks and they didn't get it, but
I don't know why.
NCAA tournament's going to have 25% capacity.
That's what I had pulled up on Twitter. Damn it. Yeah, John Rothstein tweeted that out about 30 minutes ago. It's interesting to see how that will work because I don't know, man. We can play without the fans in the stands, especially for the NCAA tournament. I understand getting parents in there and essential viewers, family, close friends, all that. Important. The VIPs, 25% of fans, 25% capacity, excuse me.
I'm going back on the Excel tabs. And then his next comment is
that's what we said.
And then his next comment is he's on the computer. He was on Excel tabs too. If he plays 70% of more of snaps, it becomes a first round pick. But so you're saying that's the difference between, let's say, pick 45 and pick 13? I feel like that's a big difference.
I don't think they'll be pick number 13.
I just picked two equivalent numbers.
Maybe like 40 and 32 or something.
40 and 32.
Who made the trade again?
40 and 32. Colts.
So the Eagles can, and I know that's something we'll have to ask Jordan too. He may know more about it as well.
Yeah.
Because if they traded a 3rd round pick for next year
Mm-hmm.
and a 2022 conditional pick.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if he does play the 75%, this is the way I'm taking it as. If he plays the 75%, then the Eagles are trading a 1st rounder instead of a 2nd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a gamble taken on by Philadelphia because they're going to say, hey, we don't think this guy is going to play 75% of the snaps. We think that, you know what I mean? Like, I think they took a gamble.
Nico and Raj cleaned it up, and you're explaining it.
What?
If he starts 75%.
No, that's what I read. Yeah, that's what I'm going off of. I'm going off of their comments because that's how I'm reading it as is. if that means the Eagles took a bet that Carson Wentz wasn't going to be a complete starter this year. That was them wanting to take that gamble, and so they were willing to risk their first round pick in 2022, while still giving up the third for this draft this coming April for the third round. So that's very interesting. $833 million too. Yep, Arian, you are right. I had the Colts cap pulled up. They should be fine though, because Spotrac has already put in Wentz's contract for this next year, and they're still like at $53 million. I don't know if that's already adjusted. The league minimum this year, the league officials told players yesterday, Adam Schefter tweeted that out, is that it's going to be a minimum $185 million. Now the league new year doesn't start until March, and that's when we'll get the for sure answer. But that way, they're just giving a number. They're just giving the basement number out now, so that front offices can start, getting their book straight. Like, all right, we have a number now, 185. It's not going to drop below that. How can we prep for that? How can we prep to get under that number? So yeah, that's how that one will go. Very, very curious to see. Now the Colts are in some pretty good shape. I think they were a quarterback away from. They have 7 draft picks in this next year's draft. They have the 21st pick in the first round this year. They could go out. They got the running back in play. They got a defense that's good. They got an offensive line that's set. What, questions about the defense? You got some questions?
No, I just wanted to eat this without being scrutinized for my
chewing.
Yeah, by the dinguses, by our dingus brothers. That's what I'll say.
They're gonna make fun of you for. They're gonna see you chewing.
You know what? It's okay. They always make fun of LeBron. They always talked about Jordan. They always said, they always.
Oh, Eagles $833 million. Oh, Arian coming in with the. Let's check that out.
Yeah.
Eagles Dang, they really did not. They really did not like Carson
Arian
Wentz.
was wondering what free agents Chiefs should go out for. You're right. We can ask Jordan.
Yeah, we'll ask Jordan. Huh.
Wow.
The Eagles are negative $41 million in the cap. They're down $41 million.
Hopefully now.
They'll figure it out, right? I don't know. They're in a bad situation.
I still saw a mock draft of them drafting a quarterback.
I mean, yeah, when you're under 40 million, and it's almost like they literally have to start over. They got to start clean. They got to. I don't know. Maybe that's trading some of your key players in Jalen Hurts and accumulating draft picks, and then just starting fresh with your new head coach that you got from Indianapolis. Believe it or not, they got their coach from Indy and sent their quarterback over there with them. Dame
Dollar.
Dame Dollar.
I think that's one of the coolest things. I don't know why I keep thinking of Dame. I know that's a closed argument, but
you just feel bad for him.
I do feel bad because, okay, who's the best point guard in the East? Or who's the second best?
Terry Rozier.
Okay, don't say Terry Rozier. But if Dame is considered the third best in the West, he would still be first or second best in the East. You see what I'm saying? It just, again, popularity. I'm so big on this popularity contest thing. I was never big, except last year. I was never big on this NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
This is offense until now.
Well, yeah, that's why the games are always how the games are, high scoring. Are they doing that this year with the scoring thing that they did last year? Okay, still doing that. Clean off the screen. Get me some more coffee in me before it. Yeah, this is a good time for everybody. Just go get their coffee, get some more refreshments. You know how there's that intermission in between, creating that intermission.
Any random questions?
Let's see, bracketology.
We don't have to just talk sports. They'll make the playoffs. Oh, Sammy's still in here. They'll make the playoffs. Hopefully not an 8 or 7 seed, but I think they'll make it.
They changed bracketology a little bit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Where will Nets go? Listen, Arian, we've had this talk in the apartment. The Nets have until May to figure things out if they haven't already. May. So people who are like saying the Nets or whatever, I'm not saying they will figure it out, but they got a long time. They got into the first round of the playoffs, so they should go into the finals. Will they? You think the Nets? Again, I think they just got to figure it out. I don't think Milwaukee does. And
Man,
are the Heat waking up or Raptors doing something? I don't think it's anything equivalent. Are 76ers going to do something?
I was on the Mavs bandwagon for a while. I don't know, man. I don't know.
See? And people were saying that the Nets are still figuring things out. If they are still figuring things out and they're 11-1, what's going to happen when they do figure it out? Exactly.
The
real question is this, Sam. Do you think the Nets, I was just asking straight up, do you think the Nets could beat the healthy Lakers in the finals? Because I'm a big believer in it's Lakers versus the field in the West if they're healthy. I don't know. You tell me. I'm not downing LeBron because the last thing you want to do in this life is doubt LeBron.
Doubt a goat.
But
Well, that's who.
No defense, just vibes. We got enough water.
Yeah, we got plenty of water, man.
Water. Ooh, this Starbucks one.
Maybe it's good that the NBA is kind of going through a mix right now where we just don't know, because
I would love. I had one.
The Lakers are not the same team without AD, and of course Dennis Schroeder having to sit out yesterday's game did hurt and affect them in that situation. I don't know. We'll definitely be in store for another. I don't know. Do you think the Bucks will go out and trade for someone? They need that extra push.
Bucks. Well, they tried to get what's his name, Bogdanovich or something. Not Bogdanovich, but one of the bitches. they tried to get one of these itches, but the trade didn't go through, and he went to Atlanta, didn't he? Bogdanovich, right? Am I right?
Bogdan Bogdanovich. Yes, they do match up with the Nets. Nets and Lakers, like fully healthy teams going after it in the NBA Finals would be the dream.
All I want is Brooklyn, LA, Game 7 Finals. Whoever it's there, we're going to have stars on the court. That's what I want.
I'm still keeping fingers crossed on what happens in the next 2 weeks. Let's see what Anthony Davis's X-ray says when they go back and look at it.
He's sitting for 4 weeks now, right?
It was 3 to 6, so I guess if four is in there, yeah. So the 4 weeks.
Yeah, Drummond. Apparently, how many teams want him? 10 teams want him. Blake Griffin. I hope he doesn't go to the. I don't think he should go to the Nets. I don't know where Griffin's.
So yeah, someone making a trade to Cleveland then. Someone calling Cleveland up.
Arian, just keep staying here for 10 minutes, and we'll get those football questions. Where's Watson ending up? If you want to, I don't know. And
Denver, come on, Denver. Make the AFC West the best QB class.
That'd be pretty cool. We could all have a party about hating Oakland, right?
Twitch viewers, whatever you want the topic to be. We'll be talking mock draft, Chiefs mock.
Yeah, well, you got 7 minutes, 6 minutes to talk whatever you want. You want to talk about the moons? You want to talk about life? You want to talk about?
Yeah. Do you get gifts on your half birthday?
Gifts?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 6, I got Lion King 1.5.
Lion King 1.5. I like that.
Remember that movie?
Yes. All right. Well, hey, Jordan's here a little bit early, so where are you going?
I'm gotta mix my coffee.
Armand, let's go get some coffee. Jordan's here a little early. We'll go ahead and switch over to Jordan. We'll go ahead and put up what we'll be talking about today with Jordan. While we get this going. Yeah, we gotta get situated for the for our guest. See, this is Jordan's first time on Coffee's On, first time being a guest, so he has to see how the setup is. We go from the phone camera to the computer camera.
Very professional.
And then we go off. And then we go down to this screen. Turn off everything. All right, class of Coffee's On. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Mr. Jordan Foote. Jordan, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, good to go. How's it going, man?
It's going well today. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm really stoked.
No, thank you for being on. My co-host Armand will be on in a second, be joining us. He just had to get his second cup of coffee ready. All right, do you have
Only second?
Only second.
Oh.
Only second. Do you have a warm drink with you today? I know you had a late night last night.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. I'm not a coffee guy. I don't have anything against it. I've just never started, but I'm sure my mom, when I was little, she was like, I didn't start drinking until I was about 30, so I still have plenty of time to pick that habit up.
You can never be too late to the coffee game. That is for sure. There'll plenty of time. Hey, so I knew you were up tweeting last night about Damian Lillard. We had some viewers talking about the All-Star voting. How do you feel about Dame being missed out as a starter and Luka kind of getting that spot over him?
Man, I get it because Luka is Luka. Obviously, like he's the hot commodity right now in the NBA. But Dame's been going crazy the past few weeks, really for the past few years. Like I still think Steph is that best point guard, hybrid guard in the league, but Dame's like right on his heels. He has been absolutely balling. So, man, it sucks. I think that with what he's doing and what Luka's doing, neither one of them have a ton of help this year because CJ's been hurt. What's his face? Nurkic has been hurt in Portland, so he's kind of just carrying the team, and they're doing a little bit better than Dallas is. So I think that at the end of the day, the player vote and the media vote should carry a lot more weight than the fan, and I guess it does, but it sucks that it came down to the fan vote, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, and you're exactly right. That was one thing that our viewer had mentioned is that it seems like a popularity contest, but even then, do you think that maybe the fan base of the Mavericks maybe having a bigger fan base than Portland, is that maybe one of the reasons why they shouldn't be leaning on the fan vote as much?
Yeah, I think so. Like I just think the fan vote carries too much weight. And I have no clue actually what the percentage is, if it's 5 or 10 or whatever, but it needs to be lower. Like because we have guys like Alex Caruso was getting votes, Derrick Rose was getting votes. Klay Thompson was 10th among guards at one point, and he hasn't even played this season. So something's got to give with that.
It's actually 50% of the vote. Fan voting is 50%.
Oh my God.
Media is 25, and the players are 25. And then in the formula of how they do it, and it's on the NBA website, they explain it all. They actually double the fan votes in the formula that they have. So it is kind of crazy how they put it in too much. Let me go ahead and introduce my other co-host today, Armand Al Hussein. He's joining with us. What's going on, Armand?
Hey, thank you for letting me get my coffee, Jordan. Good morning, good almost afternoon. How are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. I'm glad you got some more fuel in you for this next segment.
I did. I think we both needed fuel. We got some good comments in the first hour, a little about football, but we kept that for this latter hour. But I think, are we ready to maybe get into some NFL talk?
Yeah, so let's do it. Tell us a little bit about the project. Has it felt like a month? You started exactly a month from today, and you're at 32 players. Tell us a little bit of what you've been doing over at the Chief Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, man. Over on Arrowhead Report, shout out to Joshua Briscoe at 810 for getting me on there. Josh is good people. He started last year. He started up the site in I want to say the beginning of April, and the draft was later that month or beginning of May, whenever it was. So I did these scouting reports, and they were so rushed, and I didn't have enough time to watch anybody, and I was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants. And I mean, they were fine. Like Josh said, they were good. But this year I've had a ton more time. So I'm doing 100 players in the 100 days leading up to the draft. And I try to have a backlog of film and notes as much as I can. So then every day I'm not oh, I have to sit down and watch this guy today and spend 4 or 5 hours just watching these guys on tape. So I kind of have a method to the madness, but I'm also kind of winging it. But yeah, we're 32 days in now, which is pretty insane. It feels like I've been doing it for a few months now, but man, it's a ton of fun.
what made you want to take on the challenge of doing 100 in 100 days? Because that's a player each day. Are you sometimes working on two reports in a day, and then publishing them out as is? But what made you want to take on that challenge, and how do you process the work of it?
Yeah, man. I sometimes do 2 or 3 in a day, and then I'll take a couple days off. Like if I know I have something big coming on later in the week, I'll create that little backlog. But then it creeps up like that. I mean, I'll blink, and then I have something I have to do for the next day. But man, it's really fun. I like doing it, and I figured that the odds are the Chiefs will take at least one of these guys. I mean, we can hope that they'll take at least one. I'll feel happy about it. So I think that the fact that they're Chiefs specific, like I don't just go pick out players that don't fit the Chiefs, which kind of narrows down that pool. So I'm just trying to give people as much of a Chiefs specific look as possible.
No, yeah, and that's what we were telling when we were teasing for you earlier for this 11 o'clock spot. We were saying that you give the pros and cons of the players, but you also as well give your input as to why the Chiefs should draft this particular player. I was going to ask, what are some of the top priorities? What would you say the top priorities for the Chiefs are when going to this draft? What players should they be looking at? What spots on the roster would they be filling?
I think in the Super Bowl, offensive line was a pretty obvious one. They'll get some of those guys back, hopefully, but it's also hard to rely on guys who haven't played or have been injured or whatever, opted out. So really all along the O-line, I think, is a major need. So if they take center, tackle, guard, that would help. Really offensively, wide receiver would be the only other big need, I think, with Sammy Watkins and Robinson probably gone. On the defensive end, edge rusher, like you have to be able to generate a pass rush, and they're paying Frank Clark and Chris Jones quite a bit, so they can't afford to really go out and get another big time guy. So taking a guy in the first round, that would be huge. And then I guess safety, like if Dan Sorensen, he's kind of a guy that Chiefs fans take for granted a little bit, but he plays a really important role on the team. So if he leaves, they would need a safety, but that'd be like my top, I guess that's 4 position groups, since offensive line is so bad that it's clumped into one. I guess linebacker would kind of round out that top 5.
Now, is there a better time in the draft to be getting some of these needs, or would you say that we just need to fill all those needs within the 6-7 picks that the Chiefs have?
Man, I saw this stat the other day. I don't remember the exact specifics off the top of my head, but like if you're going to get a good edge rusher in the draft, it's got to be a first round pick, like, or a top 50 pick or whatever. So those guys, the talent level drops off really quickly. Wide receiver, this draft is insane. Like last year it was a good wideout draft. This one might be even a little bit better. So if they can kind of capitalize on the talent pools that aren't too deep, and then later in the draft kind of circle back, I think that I trust Brett Veach. He got off to a little rocky start in that 2018 draft, but since then he's been pretty good.
What are your with that first pick, with that 31st pick for the Chiefs? Who do you have as kind of your 100%? This is the guy they have to get, a dark horse that you could see the Chiefs drafting, you would be all right with it, and then wouldn't be surprised. And that is just me saying a Brett Veach type of move. You wouldn't be, because he's shown us that he isn't afraid to trade back into the draft, and he's not afraid to draft someone that isn't necessarily on the Chiefs' radar.
Yeah, man, the dark horse is a tough one because this draft has been so insane. I'm going to go with Liam Eichenberg, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame. I've seen him drafted in the 3rd round in mocks. I've seen him drafted in the top 20. So like no one knows really where he's going to go. Like Matt Miller released his mock, and I think he had him going to the Chiefs in the 2nd round at 63. So I guess he kind of fits as a trade back candidate too, to where Veach has never traded back, which is crazy. He's traded up 5 times, but he's never said, I kind of want to look at the board. So Landon Dickerson from Alabama is a guy that everyone talks about to the Chiefs, where his medicals are so weird that like I don't know if he's going to be a 1st round pick. If they trade back, will he still be there? And then a guy that I don't think Rashad Bateman is going to be there, the wide receiver from Minnesota, or Elijah Vera Tucker, the tackle from USC. Those are my 2 like pipe dream Chiefs picks. And I've seen mocks that have Bateman sliding a little bit, which would, if Bateman's there and the Chiefs pass on him, I'm going to be really upset. But he's such a good player, and Vera Tucker is too. But there's tons of guys that they can kind of maneuver with.
Yeah, being down there in that 31st spot, it's kind of see who falls down into. I know in some mock drafts that I've seen on Twitter, fan ones and professional ones, you kind of see this ongoing juggle between offensive tackles, whether it's Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan, or Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. Is there what is the one? What you mentioned Rashard Bateman, a receiver as well. You have the receiver out of Florida coming out. He's kind of fallen in some mocks. With that 31st pick, where do you think the Chiefs need to be focused on more? They need to be focusing on the protection at the O-line, or is it get someone flashy for Mahomes coming in at the number 2? Because you are going to be possibly losing Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins, and some people still don't feel like McCole Hardman is yet there to fill in that number 2 role.
Yeah, man, it's tough because you have free agency that comes up before the draft. So like the answer now will be completely different 2 months from now. And then also it just depends on how the board falls. Like when you do mock drafts, sometimes that random player gets drafted, which that happens every year in real life. There's a reach or something, or a fantastic, just random trade, stuff like that. So it really depends on several things happening or not happening. But to give you an actual answer instead of dancing around it, man, I think that I wouldn't be mad if they took offensive line help, because it's such a huge need. Really the only thing I would be mad about is if they took like a linebacker or a corner or something that like is a tier 2 kind of need where they don't really need it. But if they take something that they really should be getting, whether it's wide out, edge, tackle, something like that, I'd be completely happy with it.
How many mock drafts do you think you've done in just the past month, or even since the Super Bowl has ended?
This is going to sound crazy, but I've only done 3, and I had never done a mock draft before that ever in my life.
Okay, is that something? Have you released them on Twitter? Have you shown them? Have you? Because I know you got a lot of people tweeting mock drafts at you. Who have you Or go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's been insane with the mock drafts. Like me and Tucker Franklin do the Roughing the Kicker podcast, and he will send me mocks at like odd hours, like at 2:03 in the morning. He'll send me a text like, "Oh, look at this," like stuff like that. So it's something that I never really mess with because I would just like watching other people's stuff. But I figured once I started giving players like their specific round grade and stuff like that, I kind of do the mocks to cheat a little bit and see if I'm even close to being accurate, like not being too outlandish with all the stuff I say. So we've done 2 officially for the podcast, and then I did a trial run, but tweet out hashtag RTK mock. We've got like upwards of 100 so far, which is absolutely insane to think about.
Tell us about the Roughing the Kicker podcast. How many episodes do you guys drop a week? How long have you and Tucker been doing it together?
Yeah, man, Tucker is, well, I guess we all are, but Tucker does it every day. Like he's a warrior. So 5 days a week, I guess he gets the weekends off from that, but he's had different guests on there. He has me on there a few times a week. The Arrowhead Report crew tries to kind of jump on. I think we're 130 something episodes in. We started the reboot back in September, and the numbers have been good. We get good interaction on Twitter. So we just find it's kind of challenging to find stuff to talk about every single day. Right. And luckily I don't have to do that. Luckily it's Tucker's problem to deal with, but especially in the off season, he's really going to get tested with that, but he's been doing a great job so far.
And you guys are not I think we got lost there for a second.
All right, you're back.
I was asking, you guys also are on YouTube as well, not only just podcast platforms, but you also stream as well. Is that live, or is that something that you guys post afterwards?
We post afterwards. Tucker also produces everything. Like shout out to Tucker Franklin, because that dude he does everything pretty much. Like he told me that I'm crazy for doing the 100 and 100. Like he does a podcast article every day. He does a podcast 5 days a week. Like granted, it's his job, so it's kind of something that I guess you're supposed to do, but still, it's worth applauding. That dude works extremely hard. So he uploads everything to YouTube, cuts up the clips, tweets it out. So he's on top of all the promotional type stuff for it.
I love it. Have you are all three of you guys Kansas City guys or grew up in Kansas, Chiefs fans? So you've been a part of the process then since 2000s, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like my family doesn't really follow sports, but they follow the Chiefs. Like they will watch football. They know all the Chiefs players. They don't follow soccer, baseball, basketball, any of that stuff. So I was kind of forced into it, but I'm lucky that I was because it's so rewarding to follow that team your entire life and then see them get someone like Patrick Mahomes, even if they only win one Super Bowl with him, which I assume they're going to win a few. It's just insane to yeah, fingers crossed for sure. It's crazy to think about.
One thing that we love to have with new guests on is that you're a sports media journalist as well, but you're also Jordan Foot. Am I pronouncing that right? Foot with
Yeah,
an E.
yeah.
Jordan Foot.
Yes, sir.
So where are you at? Where are you at in life right now? With the pandemic, I can tell you right now, me and Armand, we've kind of adapted. Graduated into a pandemic. He's still in school up here at KU, but started a stream. I'm gonna admit I knew Briscoe had started up the thing at Sports Illustrated, and I kind of see you and Tucker through his retweets kind of pop up on my Twitter feed. Where are you at kind of now in the pandemic? Have you kind of done new things? What has been happening with you for this past year?
Man, I'm still in school. I'm out at Baker in Baldwin City, so I graduate in May. So I'm trying to get that finished up and then kind of step out into the real world a little bit. But in terms of pandemic stuff, let me think for a second. I've been reading more, which is something that I really did a lot when I was younger and kind of forced myself back into. So I pick up sports books probably once or twice a week and just read different stuff. I'm reading Thinking Basketball right now by Ben Taylor. It's a really good book. Like I used to be a stats guy strictly, then I became a film guy, and now I'm kind of trying to blend the two. And like he does a great job. Like he has the charts, then he has the examples and stuff like that. So it's really fun. I picked up Mamba Mentality, the Kobe book, and I haven't opened it yet because that's something that like I can't have anything else going on when I read that. Like I have to literally sit down. It's probably something that I'll read in an entire day and just cover to cover. So I've been reading a lot and then just kind of hanging out, trying to do home workouts, stay in shape, not do too much crazy stuff during the pandemic, but I'm sure everyone's doing stuff like that as well.
Oh yeah, we've done. I know Armand. He's created a letterbox now. He's joined the movie movement. He used to just watch trailers. But yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. I feel like we all are just kind of doing new things, kind of something different, especially with having to be indoors for the most part. You know what? That's what happens on this show. Sometimes the caffeine comes in the head and the question comes out. Armand, did you have something that
No,
you've just been listening? It's fine. No, that's completely fine.
Yeah, I want to hear from Armand. Come on, man. What you got?
Well, are we ready to get into mock draft stuff? Or if we aren't, I kind of have a few quick questions of non-Chiefs related.
Okay.
If you want to get into that right now. The big thing is we've had some comments and we were moving the football comments. We said, wait till 11 o'clock, wait till the 11 hour. First thing is, well, my brother asked this and it's Chief related, so I have to ask it. What 2021 free agents would you dump if you're Veach?
Would I dump or would I jump on?
No, would you dump? Would you say you're not part of our next Super Bowl?
Okay. Luckily, I still have my notes from Roughing the Kicker last night on my desk, so I was actually somewhat prepared for this question. I like Anthony Sherman a lot, but in the modern NFL, he isn't playing many snaps. They don't really need him too much. Tano Passanio definitely was underwhelming, I would say. Dumping. It's a lot easier to say bring back guys than to dump guys. Like I almost want to say dump Demarcus Robinson just because he hasn't done a lot, but then that creates an additional void. Like you're going to have to replace him with somebody. The same thing with Sammy Watkins. Like if you let him go because he's not reliable, then you have to find an X receiver. That's a tough question, man.
Then who's the main guy you would bring back, or the main two possible free agents that you would bring back?
Sure. I think Ward and Breland, both of the corners are super important. Mike Remmers, like when the Chiefs signed him, I was kind of irritated because he didn't come off a good season, but he played really well throughout the year. Like the Super Bowl, he obviously was outmatched being a swing guard tackle, playing left tackle against Tampa Bay's front four. Like that's a tall task. So I'd bring him back. And then I think Daniel Sorensen's pretty important. Like if the Chiefs brought him back, I wouldn't be one bit upset whatsoever.
Yeah, I think. Oh, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, I think bringing back Sorensen is kind of one of those things where either it's great if you bring him back, that's fine. I love what he contributes to the team. But if you went out and drafted another younger safety, because I don't know where Armani Watts is at now at this point. And I saw one mock draft yesterday. Someone took they had traded back and took the safety out of Oregon. They also have a couple corners as well, and more in the later rounds. Where do you see as the kind of that importance there of, or what positions do you think could be filled through free agency, going out and signing players rather than drafting?
Yeah, I think this safety market is really, really deep. Like Trey Boston just got released earlier today or declared to release or whatever. So there's a bunch of really good safeties and then some mid-level safeties like a Daniel Sorensen. The wide receiver market is insane. Like the Chiefs have enough room for one small like splash move. Allen Robinson obviously is not a small splash move, but if Veach somehow did that, that would be an option. Like there are ways to generate the cap. And I think that the thing not many people are talking about is this year with the cap the way it is, I could see a lot of guys getting 1-year deals and then cashing out in a year. So it really benefits teams like the Chiefs where if a JJ Watt, which this won't happen, of course, but if he wanted to get a cheaper 1-year deal, win a ring, then get his last big contract, I could see people like that doing stuff like that and kind of building up their market and then cashing in when the cap spikes again.
Talking about later rounds, some of our comments have been about linebacker and receiver, and I've read going through kind of some of the names on your list and the art and the write-ups that you did for him. Chaz Surratt was one of the first linebackers that I saw on your list come up, but you had him as a possible late round or late second round pick if he's there for the Chiefs as far as developmental. Where if we're going offensive lineman in the first round where the need is at, if you need someone, a top prospect there, where are the developmental spots at that you're spending, your second, third, and fourth rounds on? Maybe not a player that's an immediate impact, but someone that can be developed to be a starter maybe in the later weeks of the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Shakur Brown from Michigan State, he's a cornerback. He had 5 picks last year and his tape is really limited, but I think that kind of plays to the Chiefs' advantage a little bit where his draft stock won't be good. I'm cheating. I'm looking at my list real quick to see what I have. I know Frank Darby from Arizona State, the wide receiver, is a dude that I like a lot. Josh Imatorbhebhe from Illinois, partially because everyone likes his name. But he's a really big Chiefs draft crush. I see him in like literally every mock that's sent my way, and he's probably a late day 3 pick. I'm trying to give you one more here.
Yeah, I'll show the people we're looking at also.
Oh, there you go. Right on.
That's what I love about this too, is that you have a page where I could just go and look at all the names and not have to just go back and all that. A name like Tylan Wallace is someone that I know I've taken in my mock drafts in my second rounds. You're not as far as you like him as a receiver, but his route running is what worries you about him.
Well, and I'm worried about his overall athleticism as well. Like there are a lot of guys where, like a Rashad Bateman, he's not a freakish speed athlete, but he gets such good release and his feet are so quick at the line. Like Tylan Wallace is a good player, but he didn't get asked to do all that much. They use him in a lot of screens at Oklahoma State and stuff like that. But I mean, if you have the size and you have good enough athleticism and you can catch, that's a big part of the thing. Like that's huge. So there aren't a ton of like finished products in this year's draft. Everyone still needs work, but it's always something to keep an eye on.
Well, when you made this list of players, and sorry if you already said this, but when you made the list, were you making it? Is there really any order to it, or like the top 10, maybe or top 5, like people you think that's only first round, or was it really? Oh, I like Elijah Vera Tucker. He's my first guy. Rather than that.
Literally, I'm kind of just going with. Like I try to work a week or 2 in advance and I have like my list of guys that I'm going to do. I have to drop a new one soon, but I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants with this. Like I thought about doing position by position, but then guys pop up that have good Senior Bowls that you don't think about or stuff like that. So I try to drop as much to like keep different people like busy as I can, because I'll get people that say, "Oh, will you drop a scout on this guy?" And then I have him on my list for 3 or 4 weeks down the road, but then I can sit down one night and watch his film and move him up. So it kind of it's not an exact science for sure on that.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know if there was an order to it, but we do have. I have some questions, non-Chiefs related, but first I feel like we should ask some of these viewers questions. Danny wants to know your thoughts on Peter Warner, at least from, I don't know, linebacker from Ohio State. He says he's solid. So that's a great scouting report. He's solid. Second round guy. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, no, I agree. He's dropping next week. So that another guy that just kind of pops up. Like I saw him a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I'll watch some tape because I didn't know too much on him, but he's played all 3 linebacker spots for them. He's really versatile. Like he's kind of a typical high floor, low ceiling kind of guy, which is just fine. Like the Chiefs took a guy who low floor, high ceiling in Willie Gay, and they're going to need a linebacker within the next year or two. So it's one of those things. Pete is really good. So I think that he'd be a good second round pick. I'd be just fine with that.
Awesome. When it now kind of turned the table to some free agency stuff, when it comes to free agents that maybe the Chiefs should get, we got 2 guys people are questioning about. Both of our brothers are questioning about. AJ Green with a double question mark and Everson Griffin, 2 different sides of the ball. How do you feel about them? You think the Chiefs should look after them, or they're too expensive or unneeded?
Sure. I think Everson Griffin would help a lot. It just depends on a lot of those guys, like their market. We don't know what they're going to look like with the COVID offseason. We don't know what they're going to look like in a normal offseason, how many years they're looking for. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure how old he is, so that would be something to look at. But AJ Green, A, he's getting old. B, he's been injury prone. C, even when he's healthy, his tape hasn't been very good. Like, I don't think he's washed by any means, but it would have to be a really cheap deal. Granted, AJ Green, when he's on, pretty damn good receiver. Like he could be that X guy for the Chiefs.
In this draft, who is the most and I feel like I can see it just looking at your day one, but he may not, like I said, he may not be there. Which offensive lineman can play different positions on the O line? Which one is more versatile? Because that's something we know about Andy Reid. He likes to move he likes offensive linemen that can play just about any position. Kind of like what you said with the linebacker, Pete Werner.
Yeah, man, it's definitely Vera Tucker. I think that he can play inside at guard. He can be the tackle. I think that, man, Jalen Mayfield from Michigan, a guy that people bring up switching over to left tackle, which that transition isn't quite as hard as people say, but it's still very legitimate to question. He's a guy that he could switch inside to guard. I think Tevin Jenkins, I sometimes worry about him sticking at tackle long term. He could play in guard. Like it's a lot easier for a failed tackle to switch inside to guard than it is a guy who can't play guard to say, oh, well, we're going to dial it up to 10 and throw you out to left tackle and wish you luck. So I think a lot of those tackles can kind of, if they have the size, move inside.
As far as, sorry, we kind of froze there again.
You're good.
One name that I've seen that's fall down in the later rounds of some mock drafts, but is kind of is on the list right now. And I'm looking at, I cannot say his name to save my life, but I'm going to hover over him. Notre Dame. Could you give us a pronouncement of that name?
Adetokunbo Ogundehi.
Ogundehi.
It took me a long time to realize that because, like, I was watching his tape and there wasn't any audio. I was like, I need to watch a video with somebody that can pronounce this dude's name.
There's a player that the Chiefs would necessarily need some patience on, but someone that that has a high upbringing. Like if you can get him to where he can peak, he could definitely sit on the opposite line of Frank Clark. Kind of talk about him and some of the things that you like about him. And if the Chiefs were to take a chance on him, here's who they're taking a chance on.
Yeah, absolutely. Ogundehi, he's a guy that he has the size. I think he has the athleticism. Like that's with the case with a lot of these guys is transitioning that speed into power. Like you look at Patrick Jones a few spots down, he's a guy who could be taken in the first round, and he's so fast that if he can ever put all the pieces together, he could be a star level pass rusher. And I think Ogundehi doesn't quite have that ceiling, but he's a guy that you can kind of rotate in throughout the year. And then moving forward, like even Jordan Smith, who's up at day 18, he's more of a 3-4 stand up outside linebacker. But if they can put 10 pounds on him and teach him to be in that 3 or 4 point stance and rush, there's a ton of guys that I trust the Chiefs staff with, I think. And then I trust that the thing is with these guys, unless you get someone in free agency, they're going to be spending quite a few snaps in year one, which is kind of scary if they're not ready. But also sometimes you have to kind of baptize them by fire and just kind of throw them out there and see how they do.
Of course. And looking at your list right now, which player did you have the most fun watching? Maybe not necessarily where he is on the fitting with the Chiefs, but whose film did you just genuinely enjoy watching as a football player?
It was definitely Bateman. And even if he doesn't come to Kansas City, I think he's going to be a star level receiver. Like that dude, he checks every single possible box for a wideout besides top end speed. And that is okay. Like he has the possession traits. He runs great routes. He gets good release at the line of scrimmage. He accelerates well. So like right after the catch, he should be able to distance himself from some people. So Bateman he's a joy to watch. Like he had a game, I think it was the Purdue game last year. He had 203 yards. Like he has several games where he just absolutely spazzed out, and it's so much fun to watch.
Obviously, you said he might not fall to the Chiefs. Is there a team that you think they might get Bateman, or they might need Bateman? They have their eyes on him.
Man, really any of those teams. Like I think New England could be one of those teams where they had N'Keal Harry, who Bateman reminds me of Harry in terms of what I thought he was going to be coming out of college. Like at ASU, Harry was an absolute beast. And I was like, this dude is going to be one of the next big things. And he obviously is completely flopped. So that's why people shouldn't listen to my draft takes. But anyway, Bateman really, he's a guy that I think can fit in pretty much any system, but specifically those teams that need those big bodied wide receivers. And that's really anywhere from 15 to 30. There's a ton of teams there that need that.
And one more draft test, because
you should unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah. So, this is what happens when you do a broadcast in the same room, but try to have two different cameras. One last prospect question for you from our audience. We know how much Brett Veach loves the Senior Bowl. This was a guy that did show out into it. They had gotten Wharton was a Senior Bowl name too, right? Is this someone that you may have watched some film on, saw him, know about him? What are some of your thoughts on Quinn Menarez?
Yeah, Quinn's really good. It's really hard to find tape on him since he was a D3 prospect, so you kind of have to go based on the limited stuff you can find. And then Senior Bowl, you put a ton of stock in that, but he balled out at the Senior Bowl. Like getting that invite was the best thing that could have happened to him. And I've seen people draft him, usually a day 3 pick, but 4th round, 5th round. I don't know about 3rd yet. I don't think his stock is quite soaring that much, but he's a guy where kind of like Nick Allegretti a few years ago, where he was that 7th round pick and the Chiefs didn't have huge plans for him, but he was a good depth piece and then eventually started because of like opportunity pretty much. And I think that Quinn could be that, except he'd go earlier in the draft.
Perfect. Hey, Jordan, I want to thank you for your time again. We appreciate you coming on and joining us. A couple of quick things. I loved you're looking at me like you have some more things to ask.
Yeah, there's some more things.
Okay, hey,
I'm here all day. I'm here all day. Let's do it.
Armand, you got to unmute.
All right. So I guess now it's the Armand show. But okay, I want to. We got our friend Clay Giltner from California. He's an OU guy. Kind of putting it on him. I'm looking at your list, right? You got Creed Humphrey. Well, what's a guy from Oklahoma? Big school, big 12 school. What's a guy from there that the Chiefs should look at? Is it what's his face? I'm going back in the night. Other than Creed Humphrey, or is it Creed Humphrey? Is that the guy?
I think it would be Creed. He's a really good lineman and a solid guy that I think go Boomer Sooner. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, so even as a KU guy, I loved watching him at Oklahoma. But Creed, he's a guy that the fit is there, the need is there, and he's also a pretty darn good player. So I definitely say him.
And he's got that cool name too.
Yes.
So, I know you're a big name guy. It looks like you're about to unmute, but I want to start asking about non-Chief stuff. Everyone's favorite position, right? The quarterback. We've realized that you need a good quarterback to win football games, but it seems like you need a great quarterback to win that ring, regardless of who you are. Ryan Tannehill won't win you the ring, but he might get you close. When we're talking about quarterbacks, everyone knows Trevor Lawrence is going to go number one unless we get shocked. But he's going number one. Are Jets getting that quarterback? Are they going to get someone? Or do you think, like I do, that they should try and build around what's his face? They should try and build around their USC guy. You know I'm bad with names.
Darnold.
They should build around Darnold, maybe get a receiver, maybe get something on their defense. And then that question is, if you say no to that, I'm going to ask you about Miami. And then I'm going to ask you, when will that quarterback go? And when are those when are those next two quarterbacks after Trevor Lawrence being picked up?
Man, it's tough because like you see a lot of those first round picks that were drafted long ago aren't with their teams anymore. Like if you're a bad team and you take a quarterback, unless he is an absolutely generational type quarterback, you're not going to do anything. Like you have to have a team around that guy. So you look at Trevor Lawrence, they have DJ Chark, they have Robinson at running back. They have enough talent to where I think he'll be okay there. Then you look at the Jets, I think they have enough. Like there's not one dumpster fire type team. I guess Houston would be that, where you look at them and you're like, that dude's doomed if he goes there. Like he's not going to win. Sean Watson won 4 games there last year. Like they're just not good. So it's one of those things like Miami, if they can listen, Miami has a dilemma, like because Tua wasn't bad per se, but he definitely didn't show anything that makes them think, oh, this guy is a stud quarterback. Like he's just a good quarterback, and you can have good ones and win, but you can't have good ones and win Super Bowls unless you have like the 85 Bears defense and like a bunch of crazy skill weapons and all that stuff. So like the Joe Flacco crazy postseason run, Tua probably doesn't have that in him. Like if he's a good quarterback throughout his career, I don't see him spazzing for an entire month and winning a Super Bowl. So it's now I forgot the initial question. Oh, do the Jets take a quarterback?
Yeah, I think they should get a receiver or trade. I love trading. So one of those two.
I think, let me look at the draft order. So we have Jacksonville, the Jets, Miami, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Philly. Here's the thing about Philly, before I answer the Jets question. I don't think Philly's 100% in on Jalen Hurts. Like people, SportsCenter, Bleacher Report, all them tweeted it's Jalen Hurts time. I was like, I don't know about that. Like he didn't show a ton. He had good numbers, but then we saw every game he got like progressively. I was more and more worried about him, and people look at the stat line. He had that like 4 or 5 touchdown game. Oh my God, he's the savior for them. Like you have to kind of read between the lines there, and that new head coach doesn't have any loyalty ties to him. So if they have a guy like Justin Fields, if they like him and he falls to 6th, then I wouldn't put it past them. But man, I think Zach Wilson, I think he's going to be a Jet. I really do. And I personally think I would take him just because I really believe in him as a quarterback. But I also see the build a team, then get your guy type of thing.
And we talk about that a lot about, well, maybe I'll just get into it. The 5 factors that we say that makes a great NFL team. Well, we have it kind of scribbled here, but you can't really read it. It starts with the quarterback and the head coach. You need dominance there. You need someone solid there. And then it goes to the next 3 needs. And we bring it back to life, right?
There you go.
Life, you need weapons, you need protection, and you need to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You need defense. But it starts with that head coach, quarterback, like you said, one or the other. And it's exactly what you said about the Eagles. You got to find that quarterback. And then you have the rest of the system. And sometimes you can already have that system built, like we saw with the Chiefs, who they had a good quarterback in Alex Smith, who we all love. But they were also starting with not defense and not the offensive line. But the weapons were there. They had the weapons and they had the coach. And then they could grow everywhere else. So I think we're kind of seeing eye to eye. But you said the Jets get Zach Wilson, who a lot of people are liking. And then it comes to Miami, and you said Miami's in a pickle. Who are they going to get? And I think that's kind of the main thing. You got something to say? I really got no. I'm just rambling now.
So one of the examples that we had, and I guess it kind of could tie into our next question is, we were using the Panthers as an example with now they got a new GM bringing in Matt Rule, and what he did last year's draft was building the defense. Well, what if they went out and got a Deshaun Watson? Because we've seen the rumor of them trading 2 or 3 first rounders and Christian McCaffrey for a quarterback. And that's an argument that we were having with our roommate Liz last night. I was like, you know what? Why not? Why not do something like that if you want to kind of rebuild on this whole new Panthers culture? So that's, I guess that would be it. Where is Deshaun Watson staying, or could he go to a team that's trying to? Would it be crazy for a team? Maybe it's the Panthers, maybe it's someone like the Falcons, some other team to pretty much give up their future picks plus their star player in order to get a new quarterback.
Man, I think with how important it is to have an elite quarterback, you almost have to bite the bullet and do that. And like you saw with Arizona, they drafted Rosen. He didn't pan out, but still offered a little bit of hope. They said, Kyler Murray's that guy. Like, he is our guy. We're going to take him. Like, we no longer have Carson Wentz. He wasn't good. They said Jalen Hurts is our guy. Granted, we still don't know if that's the truth, but they took him. Like, there are teams that Alex Smith, perfect example. Patrick Mahomes is our guy that puts us over the top. We're going to take him and invest in him. So if teams see guys that they like, and if there's a Jets that like Zach Wilson, they can take him. But also Deshaun Watson, you don't really see elite level star quarterbacks at the age of 25 ask for trades and become available. Like, it's not like his deal is big, but he's worth every penny and more probably. Like, he's under contract. He is a great leader. Like, people confuse the I want the hell out of here with I am a bad teammate, I'm a locker room problem, stuff like that. Like, he is a really good leader, great teammate. Everyone loves Deshaun Watson. He's just not happy, and I frankly don't really blame him for that. So in terms of what I would give up, like, I think I made a tweet, like, it was a few months ago. Would you give up Bosa and 3 first-round picks if you're San Francisco? And I was thinking, man, Bosa is absolutely fantastic. That's the part that gets me. Like, the 3 picks, you can have the 3 picks, because if they're a good team, you're going to get the 30th pick every year if you're Houston. Like, are you really going to miss out on that lottery ticket? Like, people think draft picks are sure things. You're basically taking a chance on a young kid. Like, the kid could be good, but at the end of that first round, usually in the draft, that top 15 to 20, you don't really know what you're going to get with those types of players. So you give up. If you're Carolina, like, with the way Davis played when McCaffrey was out, he played pretty well. And I love Christian McCaffrey a ton, but the running back value and the quarterback value and all that stuff, like, I'm leaning yes. I think you give up probably at least 2 firsts and then McCaffrey, and that gives you something to build on if you're Houston, where you can run McCaffrey into the ground until you find your quarterback, which is a sad way to put it, but that's how running backs are in today's NFL.
I had a feeling you would say that when you said you were a stats guy. And because you mentioned the thing about the running backs, really quick, how did you feel about drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He did well, but I know I have some friends that are still stick. Yeah, he's good. We like him, but I didn't like that pick. So how do you feel about that?
There are a few running backs in the league that, like, have that exception to the running back rule of, I can grab one of us off the street and we'll run for 500 to 1,000 yards behind a good line. Like, McCaffrey is probably that guy. Zeke, I thought, was that guy. He's kind of been up and down. Nick Chubb, that guy. Prime Le'Veon Bell, like Jamal Charles. Like, there are guys that McCaffrey and Carolina, there are guys where the elite of the elite are probably worth the money that they're getting. They're worth the investment of the team, and they're really good players. But then guys like Clyde, like, is Clyde going to be an elite level running back? I don't know, especially with, like, the sales pitch that made me okay with it was, he's going to be this pass catching, dynamic wide receiver running back hybrid. And then he never really got used as a receiver. Like, he was just a running back. The line wasn't good all year. So I think that night I was a little bit shocked, a little bit frustrated, but I also completely understood it because he was a really good college player. But now I like Clyde. He's a good player. Could they have gotten something better? Probably. Could they have got something more valuable? Probably. But it's not like Veach traded up for a complete bust or something like that. Clyde's a good player.
And I exactly agree. Before you give your 2 cents, Marco, I had to sit for a few minutes after he drafted Clyde because I said the only running back I wanted the Chiefs to get was J.K. Dobbins. Of course, I'm not the most educated person, but I thought Dobbins was the guy to get.
He's really good.
And he is really good. And we got Clyde. Took me a few minutes, watched some videos. And I'm like, okay, I like this guy. And I think you what is it? You hit the nail on the head. He's good. He's a likable guy. He's a good player. Do the Chiefs need a star running back? I don't think so. So maybe I'm okay with him being there. Maybe not wasting that first round pick. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't a waste, but I'm okay with him being there and doing what his role is going to need to be done.
No, I was just gonna say it kind of resembles this year a little bit. In we need an offensive lineman. We probably would have drafted the center that went to the Saints if he would have fell down to the Chiefs. But now we're kind of in that same boat. Is the Chiefs need a receiver? Because you see some people just moving to the receiver spot more than offensive lineman. Do you have like a favorite Chiefs draft pick kind of moment where you were there and you were like, okay, this is awesome. That's awesome that they just got other than Mahomes.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to bring up Mahomes. Like, I really wanted Deshaun Watson. I was kind of teed off when the Chiefs took Mahomes, and that's completely my fault because I literally, that was 2017. So I was 18 at that time. Like I didn't really get into draft stuff back then compared to what I do now. So I didn't watch any Patrick Mahomes. Like I knew he had a strong arm and that was it. So I was like, oh, the Chiefs just drafted Jamarcus Russell when they already had Alex Smith. Like, what the heck are they doing? And obviously, I didn't hate Mahomes. Like, I thought he was going to be an interesting investment. But then I was like, why would you invest in a project when you already have a good quarterback? Not knowing that the Chiefs had clearly scouted the heck out of that kid and knew he was going to eventually be good. And I think that year with Alex Smith was absolutely huge for him. Like, I think it would have been fun that first year, but it wouldn't have been necessarily pretty. Like, it would have been a beautiful disaster watching Mahomes that first year because his footwork wasn't good. Breed had to coach him out of that stuff. Smith had to coach him out of that stuff. So I really wanted Deshaun Watson. And I think that Watson with the Chiefs now, he obviously wouldn't be Mahomes because Mahomes is one of a kind, but he'd be he'd be an elite quarterback just like he is right now. So Mahomes definitely, people brought up to me probably later that season, like the Chiefs had that 4-game stretch where it was like the Jets, the Giants, the Bills, and then somebody else where
the Cowboys maybe.
Yeah. I think it was the Cowboys. Like they had that whole NFC and AFC East run where Smith threw a game-losing interception. They put up like 9 points in New York. Like it just wasn't good. And people were like, play Mahomes. I was like, guys, he's not going to solve every problem on this team. Then he came out week 17 and you look at his numbers. He didn't even throw a touchdown. He played a fantastic game. Like that dude, they put in Tyler Bray who blew the game and Mahomes had to come back in and ice it. So I was immediately sold after that. So it just took me a little bit to come around on him.
And I think that
I'm going to say sold after that first pass.
Yeah, literally.
You're exactly right. He played well and didn't score or didn't have a passing touchdown. But I will take that to my grave that Alex Smith's leadership, 1 in a million leadership, I will say, has a big part to do with the right here of Mahomes and where he was at. And maybe both players, one being okay sitting for his future franchise and one being, I don't know, human enough to say, okay, this is business. I'm still going to be nice. Not like what Flacco said. I don't want to teach Lamar or whatever he said. He didn't say that, but we know what he said. Or what Roethlisberger wasn't big when they drafted Mason Rudolph, all that. Alex Favre. Smith. Yeah, bro. Well, Brett Favre. We don't need to get started on that, but that's the thing. Alex Smith said, yeah, it's a business. It does suck, but that's what it is. And I'm big on him being, he deserves everything. He deserves Chiefs fans love because we never loved him. Now people are all, we love Alex Smith. No one was loving Alex Smith, and he deserves a lot. He'll be a great future coach GM one day. I believe that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we're big on getting into the head as athletes and the importance of it, the mentality of an athlete. Maybe this is something we could have a longer future conversation on, but for right now, what talk about kind of the importance of that, kind of the mentality of an athlete, and that's one of the reasons why Mahomes is who he is, because he's got that mental side down. Yeah, those people, Brady, Mahomes, Messi, Mbappe, Serena Williams, Osaka, they're just in a different mentality than other athletes. So kind of talk about the importance on that, getting into the head of an athlete.
Man, I think it's important in anything really, like not just being an athlete, like being in control of, and not necessarily being an a-hole like a Michael Jordan type. You don't have to be like that, but you have to, all of the great ones have that specific, they're just wired differently. And like you can tell from the very beginning, like they had that Mamba mentality, like petty Mahomes. Like Mahomes is one of the pettiest dudes in football. Like whether it's just liking someone's tweet, throwing shade at him, or counting to 4 against the Ravens, or counting to 10 or 11 or whatever against Chicago. Like all of those guys have it. Even guys like LeBron, who they say don't have the quote unquote killer instinct. He obviously has that killer instinct. He's LeBron James. And Tom Brady, like watching that, he had that hype video that dropped either the night before or the day of the Super Bowl. And like for about 30 seconds, I was convinced they were going to blow out the Chiefs. And then very quickly, I was like, there's literally no way that happens. But just watching, like, you can tell in their voice, you can see in their eyes. It's just hard to describe, but you can tell who's going to be that guy and who's not going to. And it's not like a Baker Mayfield thing where he has that huge chip on his shoulder. And I love his mentality, but he doesn't have that Mahomes level thing. And the fact that he's with Andy Reid and had Alex Smith and learned how to prepare for that year was huge, because you see now he's finally understanding how to slow everything down and kind of process the field. He said like he didn't even learn how to process stuff for like a year and a half in. So it's crazy, and he's still getting better, which I think this coming season he's going to be motivated. He's going to be ticked off. He's going to be studying because he can't run around. Yeah, exactly. And he had that surgery, so he's going to be sitting around just watching film, taking notes. So I'm really excited to see how he does.
And I think when we talk about Mamba mentality, we've always seen good athletes. We've seen great athletes. But those people you mentioned Brady, you mentioned Mahomes, and I won't include them in this, but right, you mentioned Brady, LeBron, Michael Jordan. Those are GOATs. And I don't know what we were talking about this morning, but you said you don't make a GOAT mad. You don't make him upset. And we saw it and we were sad about it, but people were doubting Brady, and I don't know why we doubted, because he has more rings than he has fingers on one hand. So we shouldn't have doubted him. And we learned what happened. If people didn't watch it, what happens when you doubt Jordan? What happens when you say LeBron doesn't have that killer instinct? And we hope it's the same with Mahomes. It's that Mamba mentality. And we didn't even mention Kobe with that either. But those are the people that separate the good, the great, and the legends. And if I know Mahomes isn't that legend yet, but that's that different mentality that separates them. That wasn't a question, so
no, that is the infamous Armand spiel right there. Jordan, with your work over at SI Kansas City, or I'm gonna make sure I get this right. SI Chiefs. It's a Sports Illustrated, but it's like fan site. It's its own little.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have Arrowhead Pride. You guys have the Arrowhead Report.
Yeah.
And so, but one thing I also noticed, I love going through links on the Twitter bio. So thank you for that. I fell across your kind of Medium platform, your own kind of it's like it's portfolio type writing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where you write, it seems like just stuff that you want to write about. It's not necessarily an editor passing that stuff to you. It's stuff that you want to write about. And I saw the quote in your bio, and I was like, all right, this guy's awesome when I read that, because it says, trust the what, forget the when, and always remember the why. Talk about the importance of that, because we stress that is always remembering the why. Why do we do the things that we love? Why did we start a StreamYard with just talking with people? Because we love talking sports. We love talking with our friends and family. And of course, that's who our first viewers were when we started this thing. Talk about the importance of that, remembering the why.
So, man, it's something that I've kind of had to, like, you obviously want to get better at something every day, but it has to start with like yourself. I think like it's not even being selfish. People mistake that with being selfish. You want to be like the best possible yourself every single day. And like, you're only competing with yourself and who you were yesterday and all that stuff. So I'm a big Russ fan. I listen to Russ for music, and people slander Russ. He's still a meme on Twitter. I don't really care, whatever. He wrote a book, and I modified his quote. It was trust the what, F the when. So I obviously didn't want to put that in any bio anywhere, and then remember the why. So I just put forget. And it's something that I live by. Like I try to, there's so much stuff that we can't control as people in terms of what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it and how we attack the day, what we plan to do in the future. And those plans always get forks thrown on the road and stuff happens. But you always have to remember why you're doing stuff. And even if it's like a simple reminder, like a Twitter bio or a wristband or something on your mirror in the morning, like I have Seize the Day put on my mirror just to remind myself, like when I first wake up, even if it doesn't really register, it's something that you look at. And I'm big on like, it's almost being delusional in a sense where like you just have to keep saying good stuff and believing in good stuff, and eventually it'll happen, because like that stuff is contagious. And I think that being around people that have those goals and kind of share those same values is super important. But that Medium thing, I kind of use it. It's not a diary. It's like it started as like a self-help, like once a month I would do like an article, just whenever I felt like writing something, I would do it. And then Therese Paylor passed away, so I used that as something for a tribute to him, which was absolutely just tragic. But I just try to use that once a month or so and kind of do cool articles like that where I'm not attached to anybody. I can kind of do my own thing and also share it with people. So
no, and that's why I brought it up, because I love it. And on this show, we like to get to know our guests, and because you're more than just a writer, a sports writer,
Sure.
sports radio host up in Baker. You are Jordan Foote, and Jordan. I'm glad you brought up Therese, because we both are Kansas grown. We read the Kansas City Star growing up. I feel like we're, as Kansans, we're blessed to have such great journalists working at the Kansas City Star, specifically even in the department that we follow, the sports department that is. And it all is Blair Kirchhoff, Sam Mellinger, Therese when he was there covering the Chiefs, Sam McDowell, Jesse Newell, so many great journalists over there. I know we've had conversations about what Therese meant to us, and we can tell people that they can go read your write-up on him on your website. But kind of talk about how Therese Paylor helped you in the industry, because that's someone who he was. He was always wanting to help.
Yeah, man, he was a friend to everybody. Like even people that read his work who never talked to him, he was their friend just because they had that rare connection with Therese. And like, I annoyed the heck out of him. I would email him and like Twitter DM him, and then he finally gave me his phone number. So I was back at Baker one day, and I got to talk to him on the phone, and he just instantly started just giving me free game about everything, just telling me this is what's going to happen to you in the future. This is how you can respond to it. Just he was really specific about his time, because he was such a busy guy and wanted to give everyone his time. So he said, I can give you about 20 minutes. And he had like a timer running. He was like, all right, here's the 10-minute mark. I got about 10 minutes left and stuff like that. So he had a really great conversation with me. And then about halfway through, he paused and was like, I hope you have a pen and are writing this stuff down, because it's really good stuff. And started like, he did his patented Therese laugh. It was just classic Therese, like vintage Therese Paylor. And then through that, my buddy from Arizona State I was there for a year. He was doing an honors project. Therese never knew the kid, never talked to the kid before, had no clue what it was about. And I said, hey, I have a buddy who's doing a project. Will you give him a few minutes? He said, I'll give him 10. Like that was just the type of dude he was. So we talked back and forth a little bit, and then we wanted him on Roughing the Kicker. And I shot him a text and said, hey, I think it was like the week of the AFC Championship or the week before. And he said, pretty busy, check back in a week. Then I checked back and he didn't reply. So then he sent me a text a few days later. I completely forgot to reply to it. So that passed. And like a week later, me and Tucker were on a Zoom call, and I got a text from Therese that said, I can still set this up tonight if you want to. And like, he had no obligation to reach out to some kid, basically, who was doing some random podcast and didn't reply to his message. But that was the type of guy he was. Like, he literally wanted to help people. So he came on. He said he had 20 minutes to give us. He was a couple minutes late. So he said, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes on the back end. Had a really good conversation. And then he passed, like, that was a Wednesday recording. And then I think it was the next Monday he passed away. But it was, it's still shocking, and it sucks to think about. But the stories, one of the few bright spots has been the stories that people have shared about him, because I'm not alone. There have been people who really considered him close friends that he worked with. Sam Mellinger's, he had a podcast about it. His article was fantastic. Like, it's He was one of those rare people, and I think that we can just try to be like him. And I think the world, the sports media landscape, everything would be a much better spot.
I was gonna. You said it right there, and it's at the top of your story about him as well. It's be like Therese, and I feel like that's if there's one thing that I could take from all the stuff that you read, because even the Kansas City Star had a long, ongoing article where people were posting their kind of their memories of him and talking about that, and just what you shared with us there. If there's one thing I could take away from all that, it's be like Therese, because that's what everyone I feel like the same message across. Jordan, I purposely ended on that because I feel like that's a positive thing to end on as we head into this weekend. You've been very generous with your time today, and we appreciate that as well, giving us an hour of that. You have a show up in Baker too. Where we can listen to you at, and what days and times?
I actually don't have the show anymore. I'm not in radio this semester. I think I just haven't changed my bio on the website yet, so it's still up there. But that's a good reminder that I need to do that.
No, that's perfectly fine. The Roughing the Kicker podcast comes out. You have your work over at Arrowhead Report. That's just the Sports Illustrated Chiefs affiliate. But with that, Jordan, thank you so much for your time again. And I'll give Armand a chance to talk myself.
All I'm going to say is thank you. You ended it on a good note. You talked about the why. And I'll be honest, I'm a boring guy. I'm suck at reading, unlike you guys, and didn't really read the Star too much. But just like we think with anyone's passing, of course it is very sad. But if there's any way that we can find some way of positivity after we've been able to mourn, whether it's generational great like Kobe or someone like Therese, who's a local great, and even became national with Yahoo. But we're trying to find their why. And what was their why, and bringing it back to us. And Jordan, thank you for coming on. Thank you for letting us put the foot in the door.
You were waiting on that one, weren't you?
I was. No, I just thought of it now. But yeah, thank you. I love that you're more than a sports writer. Just like we're more than people who like sports. We just like talking with people's passions, and that's the thing about Coffee's On. You're passionate about the draft, and you're passionate about finding that why, and we're just passionate about maybe talking a little too much and drinking coffee. But again, Jordan, thank you for coming on this Friday.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. It was a great time, and I'm glad that my class got canceled today, because when Marco reached out to me, I would be in class right now, and this definitely beats sitting in a Zoom call. So this was absolutely fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you again, Jordan. Hopefully we can have you on again sometime later on. I know we still got Combine to happen, and then the actual draft itself. But good luck to the rest of you with the 100 and 100. We look forward to reading more about the prospects that you'll be putting out and talking about in the later days.
Yep, and you have my word. I will bring coffee to the next one. I will drink it. And even if I don't like it, I will bring it and I will drink it, and it will be hot coffee. None of that ice crap, okay?
All right, I'm gonna hold it to you and even make a burner account like Briscoe has, and just keep.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Jordan. Have a good one.
Yep.
Nope, we're good. All right, we're out. All right, perfect. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jordan. Thank you again, Jordan, for tuning in to Coffee's On, sharing your time, knowledge, and just words, man. Just words. Because at the end of the day, what are we just saying? We're just words. We're saying words, but it's actions that got to follow up to it. I don't know what I'm saying there, but
we're just words in a body. That's what we are. And maybe we get the old famous, and now if I say it, I'm gonna mess it up, but. We are just words in a body, and maybe I'm watching too many of these trippy TikToks.
Genie in a bottle.
Genie in a bottle. Wow. Maybe we'll listen to that song. Wait, no, I'm kidding, but not really. But yeah, I don't know. That was a good talk.
Yes.
I enjoyed having him on. We talked a lot of football. We talked a lot before. I don't know what else.
There's a talk about. I gotta go. We gotta get lunch. Ready for lunch?
Eat lunch. Yeah, I'm hungry.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you back on Monday.
See you guys later.